Indeed, here we go. Number 2 in our set between 3DB and Wham01. And we're seeing an interesting start already. I mean, it's gonna be the hunting cabin here. Now, usually players, they start off with the sheep that they have. There's only like a single or like a 2-3 sheep in your base that you have access to. But he's going straight away with the hunting cabin and a beautiful spot on that as well. He does have a wood line next to it, so get some gold from it. He's getting the fishing from the shoreline fish, and he has deer right next to it as well. And that's just a beautiful spot for him right there.
Yeah, and I love kind of just looking at the layouts of wetlands at times. Just how you were talking about with the Mongols and these wood lines, they've definitely created this kind of like back alley for these trade markets, if trade would be a thing. That being said, not really sure if we're ever going to get to that point. Both players starting on the shoreline fish as necessary, and 3DB doing a great job securing up a couple of those wolves. We talked about bounty, and he's starting out pretty solid with some of it.
We also talked about funny woodlines, and looking at the back of the base from 3DB, there's a deer spot which looks to be in a funny woodline.
Oh no. Is there a gap in that? I think there's a gap in it. If not, he should be able to shoot over the wood line at least. But can he fit a hunting cabin in there is my question.
Probably if he chops like 2 trees, that could be a pretty nice hunting cabin position right there. But look at the other side of the map. There's another really funny wood line next to the boar in the middle of the map. That looks like a really nice high trade house position.
Yes, it does. And 3DB, he's all over the map, grabbing multiple wolves everywhere. Another boar on the opposite side, kind of similar to how 3DB had his deer inside. And ultimately, though, we're at a point where I think both sides have these odd spawns, but it's a very interesting map design. One thing I love from the French side is if he's able to secure those double deer and have all those shoreline behind it as well.
Oh no, Dabston, it's happening again. The gold, it's missing. He doesn't have the gold that he needs for the age up. He does have the wheelbarrow. Might need to cancel the wheelbarrow in order to click up here at a good enough timing here for him. It's always really important to click up at a nice timing against French, because with the School of Cavalry, if you're like at a really bad timing, the knight, if you get the Kremlin out really far away, and it does look like he's canceling it, if you place the Kremlin in a really greedy spot, if the knight comes out at a bad timing for you, that could mean disaster for you. But he does cancel the wheelbarrow and is going to get the Kremlin here out at a really nice spot, I must say. It does defend the food, does defend the gold, and a lot of wood lines to gather wood from as well.
And it's in range of the boar. He could pull that boar a little bit closer to it, maybe not tucked up right next to it, but close enough for it. Even though the boar, not as much of a priority with shoreline fish, still a nice bonus as far as his bounty goes, which is clearly struggling, lacking the gold to age up with wheelbarrow.
True, exactly. I mean, the boar is in a really good position for that, and I think we're getting to that mark, to that really special point in the game. Are you ready to bet the bounty that 3DB is on right now?
Jeez, I am. It's not feeling good. That's for sure. I feel like I'm gonna go with 195.
195. All right, Dabston. I see you there. I'm gonna put a little bit more trust into B here. I'm gonna say 210, and it's gonna be 175. That's that's not a lot, considering that he did invest into 3 scouts, and I mean, could be worse with 3 scouts, but it's not pretty. It's I'll tell you that. I mean, there's still the deer here. If only he gotten those, could be closer to my guess there. But yeah, it's rough right now. He definitely needs those deer, and them being in such a hidden spot means it's gonna be a while until he finds them, probably.
Yeah, not a feels good at all. Does spot out Wham going to the next shoreline fish location, so if he has a couple of those roost knights out, he might find a nice spot to potentially get a pickup or so. But knights coming out, that's French's meta, and that is exactly what we already have out on the map now.
That's right, and so far no stable yet dropped by B. Now he does have the gremlin. Could potentially call out to get those gremlins out on the field. Hasn't done so yet. Now, usually you would like to get those gremlins out nice and early, just immediately start pressuring your opponent, especially on a map like Wetlands. Because on a map like wetlands, all the resources are really, really exposed and out on the map, so the gremlins get a lot of value on a map like this.
Yeah, and I feel like the gremlins, like French is one of those civs that they even get a lot of value against French in general. If the knights are there to deal with the gremlins, well, you're happy because knights aren't in your base. And if the knights aren't there to deal with the gremlins, then you're getting idle time, usually on the gold, on the food, or whatever it may be, and causing a lot of annoyance. But look at Wham. He spots out the stone. Bees already has more than enough for that secondary TC, and now it's all about maybe trying to deny the location of that stone. Or second TC.
It's gonna be tough though, because it looks to be in range of the Kremlin. He's gonna go for it in such a spot that he's just gonna pull the boar right next to it. It also defends the gold mine. This is a beautiful spot here. Could actually allow B to just go for a straight up fast castle here with minimal investment into Spearman in order to defend against the Knight push. But looks like Wham is also gonna go for that second TC. He does realize, okay, I'm not gonna be able to deny that second TC from my opponent. If I don't go for it myself, I'll just fall further and further behind. Does recognize that and does go for his own second TC.
Yeah, and this kind of leads that next step, which was what you said earlier, the high trade house potentially into that corner spot where that knight is. But I was about to say, well, we might see those knights pull the boar away from the town center over into the wood line to kill it, but I guess he doesn't want to sacrifice any more potential damage.
It already take a lot of damage there on that knight. That definitely is a Field's bad man moment, but now boar is gonna get pulled, and B is gonna work on that boar. Isn't gonna lose that villager. That was a close one. Does pull it away in time. Gets the bonus bounty there, and is now gonna be on a boar. So food economy is gonna be looking great here for him in just a little bit.
Yeah, Wham walled up his backside food. There's still a gap all the way on the other side, so technically B could circle around with the knight and get inside there. But feeling a lot better with his food economy for this kind of long haul, as there's a ton of food behind that wall.
Yeah, lots of berries, lots of shoreline fish remaining, and a boar as well if he finds it. I mean, the woodlines are always a little bit funny here on a map like this, and second TC is gonna be coming in on one of the. Oh, that's a good shoreline for him. Look at the food that's there. That's better than a boar.
Yeah, 3 shoreline right tucked up next to the TC. I love this because a lot of these ponds you'll see like only a couple shoreline fish, or they might kind of be spread out. But this one, he's got 3 right there immediately. This is just such a boost to his food eco.
Decorative berry bushes right next to it as well. Looking good, looking good.
Knights haven't been able to find any damage until
that villager is far from home, one might say.
I'm confused what that vill was going to. Maybe it was one of those that he accidentally put that TC waypoint where he meant to put his stables waypoint.
Yeah, probably. And now we see the knight also a little bit off position, getting chased now by 3 knights from the French player here. He's gonna have to play a little bit of Ring Around the Rosie if he wants that knight to make it out alive. Charges are gonna hurt it every now and then.
Ooh, but some villagers over here on this food. The charge is gonna come through and probably just gonna run right on away. Oh, he actually stays for the Vill kill and takes all of that damage. I'm not sure if that's worth it.
Yeah, that is very questionable. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, B just also scouted the stone mine, so he must know that Wham is also on the second TC. And like with second TC, killing a single villager for a night becomes even less worthwhile. Yeah. Wait, a third TC also coming out now from Wham.
And I love where he's dropping this third TC. It's such an aggressive location, but if it doesn't get scouted out and it doesn't get punished, it will pay off so heavily because this is 3DB's side of the map. This is 3DB's food.
Yeah, and he has no reason to look there initially. Knights from B are getting some good value. And look at that, B actually leading now in the knight department.
Yeah, leading, and it makes sense because Wham investing into that additional TC. That being said, B rallying some units past the TC.
It's chopping.
It's a chop through. And it's there. He's through.
That is so cheeky. That's what the villager was for.
We thought it was a misclick, but it was the big brain move for the chop through. The question is, Wham! He's trying to do a quick wall through it. Will he get this wall down in time?
Oh,
No?
Oh, not happening. That was close. It could have potentially happened.
And Knight gets there to protect up some vills, and this is one of those that I feel like seeing it, I would have expected all 5 vills to go down, and instead only 2 so far. Maybe a few more to follow, but Knight's now again trading for other Knights on their other side.
Oh, Knight takes the victory here. Knight was already low HP.
And then he's alone.
Oh, Wham, he needs to notice this. Okay, he does. He does notice it.
Yep. No vills down yet, but a good thing for 3DB here was picking up that Knight trade. Remember, those French Knights eventually will start healing on up later on in the game once Chivalry gets invested into. So keeping them alive, even if it's 1 health, is absolutely worth it.
Yeah, exactly like you said. And I mean, now all the Knights from B, they seem to be mostly damaged right now. So Wham, not in a bad spot, and the Knights are healing. Chivalry has come in at some point in the past.
Yep. Knights circle back around yet again, going for a charge. One gets taken by the Knight on the other side, but still no Knights down for 3DB, and his second group of Knights should be circling around for another raid into that wood line, into that gold vein.
I'm not sure if B has noticed yet that Wham is actually on a 30C. It's such a sneaky spot from Wham.
And look at the walls that Wham's going and putting into play. He's walling out 3DB's southern side, so it's going to be hard to punish that. But this was the raid I was talking about early on. Huge charge coming in, immediately taking out some vills and a lot more idle time with it. So even though Wham has had that third town center for quite a bit of time, he's just even in the villager count.
Yeah, exactly. So right now it's pretty good from B being able to keep up like this. And Knight numbers still building, but Chivalry, as he said, as long as Wham is able to keep these Knights alive, it's just going to get better and better for him.
Oh, Vil does get spotted out building these walls, and more walls coming in. So these Knights going to have a harder time getting to spots that they need to with walls coming in from Wham. So I really love this. And Knights overstepping maybe, but gets a Knight pickup of the French side. Like we said, so crucial to get those down when they are low health.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Knight numbers just building on both sides here right now. B still has a really great advantage here when it comes to Knight numbers, and so far neither of these players have decided to dip into Spearman. I mean, it's really difficult for Wham right now to invest into Spearman just because his woodline gets idled so many times.
Oh, villagers a little bit further forward, but the Knights forced to pull back. I feel like 3DB has so many Knights that are low health, and Militia finally called 18 Militia out on the field. What is their game plan? What is their goal?
Yeah, with 18 Militia, I feel like B just probably wants to push right into the base from Wham right now and just cause as much idle time as possible. I mean, as long as these Militia are at the front, it's not a fight that Wham can take, not at all.
And instead,
he's going for the secondary TC. Or third
TC. He spotted it out finally. He's headed that way. There's no chop through this time. Militia only have 58 seconds left. Torches are pulled out. Good thing with this many melee units, the torches just go through that wall so fast. Now villagers having to run from that shoreline fish.
Ooh, looks like B found it at some point, and yeah, he knows about this, and he's gonna go for it. I mean, that's a lot of torch damage coming in. Now, the Knights from Wham are on their way, but the Gremlins, they do a good bit of torch damage here, and that TC is going down fast.
Way faster than what I was expecting here. One Vil goes down with it beforehand. Knights have arrived for Wham, but is this a fight you want to take? TC almost gets taken out. Vils jump out to try to heal it up, jump back inside. TC goes down. Knights arrive, diving into the Militia to start. A couple of the Knights on B side just clearing up a few more of those Vils, and this was not a good look for Wham. It seemed so good for so long. It felt like B hadn't spotted it out, but just punishes it so heavily.
Was such a good move with the Militia pull, just turning that TC to dust in a matter of seconds there. And now villagers are exposed over here on the shoreline as well. Wham is just bleeding villagers left, right, front, and center. 17 vills have come down so far in the game. But right now, Wham leading with the cavalry. And once again, we can see all the low HP Knights are healing. While on the side from B, they're all just staying low.
Yeah, that's just the huge benefit of the French. If you're staying on all knights, they will end up winning in the longer run. You can see some of those knights just idling out villagers on the other shoreline fish, which as long as Wham keeps those knights a little bit healthy, he can pull those out, and the idle time pays off for itself.
Yeah, and a good bit of food has been denied here by Wham on B side, so he can be happy with them. The bottom shoreline is probably completely depleted, the bottom pond there. So right now, I would still favor Wham a little bit. I mean, villager count is even, but knight numbers clearly in favor of Wham right now.
Yeah, it's just getting harder and harder for 3DB, and he takes that charge, but this is not a charge you want to take. Remember, extended fights always going to be favoring the French side due to all of their extra knight bonuses that they get in feudal.
Oh, does need to be careful though. Shouldn't overcommit here. Then again, the knight numbers are just so good for him right now. Villagers, couple good to go down here from B side. And I mean, in the end, French still has that TC bonus, so the villagers are still gonna be favoring Wham when it comes to the amount of them that are out on map, and those in the outpost might go down here.
Yeah, 3 knights are thrown away for absolutely nothing. 3DB vills pop out of the outpost. Knights trading, but Wham, he has more knights here, and he seems like his knights were healthier. Trading back and forth here, but the outpost helping out just a little bit. 3DB finally choosing to fall back, and I would say trade went better from 3DB than expected.
Definitely better than expected there. I thought this was about to be an absolute cleanup. Instead, B manages to hold the position there. Impressive. I really didn't expect it to go this way, but I mean, in the end, Wham, almost 13 villagers ahead right now.
Yep, slowly just been able to climb that number back up. He's been the one back to pressuring. He's been the one being the aggressor again. It was exactly opposite earlier on, but finally, Wham was able to hold that, and now...
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
That's a lot of villagers there. Now also farm transition coming in from Wham. It's going to be the first one to switch to farms right now. There's still a lot of shorelines or a lot of ponds to be taken, but they're quite far from his main base, so it looks like he doesn't quite want to risk it.
Oh, and he's going for the circle around on these knights. Thinks he has the number. Wants to get another fight. Takes another charge. A little bit of damage, but ultimately the knights on the Ro8 side just back on away.
I mean, with the outpost, it's always difficult to decide when to take these fights. I'm not sure if Castle Turrets is in yet on that outpost, but if it is, it does a good bit of damage against these knights as well.
Yeah, the key difference, those B's knights are not healing up. He's got 8 knights in queue compared to Wham. Only got 4, so B's numbers are trying to climb just as fast. Wham might be thinking on saving up or just pausing for a bit. 10 knights in queue for 3DB.
Yeah, and if Wham doesn't keep up with the production here, he could be in serious trouble right now. B right now, soon he's going to be leading in the knight count. It's all with the gold as well. I mean, B, he has so many villagers and gold in him, but now fight once again happening here. This time looking really good for Wham. Maybe this time he can make the push happen onto that shore. Find fish here. Still though, in the end, things evening out a bit.
A few more knights taken out, and Wham, he dives on through. He takes the fight again. Forces idle time away from those shoreline fish, but now the knights are kind of stuck past behind the economy. 3DB will have to deal with this, but could potentially get a huge pickup if he gets the knights for a good fight that he can.
A couple of villagers might be found here by Wham on the shoreline. I mean, B, he's doing a great job of just putting down these wooden fortresses everywhere on the map there where he needs some little bit of extra defense, and looks like B soon will pull ahead when it comes to the knight count.
Yeah, juked out those knights on the backside, using those wood lines to perfection. More farms now being dropped for 3DB instead of Wham, and just trying to protect up that gold location. Wham just continuing to charge back and forth, wants to just get the extra damage and then fall back away.
Villager does get sniped there on the wooden fortress. I mean, Wham right now leading with a lot of villagers. And he did apparently also kill a lot of villagers from B here overall during this game. So Vil killed so far relatively even, but still the numbers right now from B, they're climbing. Now he's overtaken Wham in the night count. And I'm just impressed that both players right now have just not at all gone for any spearmen at all in this game. It's just due to the mobility. You can't risk investing into a slow unit at this point.
Yeah, because then you're at the point where the knights are just going to only take the fights they know they can win. The spears just get stuck out to dry. So the one who builds the barracks first is the one who's going to lose. Now, Wham's the one with all the knights in queue. And the numbers basically even. The question's going to be is where are these knights going to find the pressure? Who is going to be the one to finally break open the other side?
Yeah, the knight count, I mean, B, he's the one that's doing the pressure right now in the base of Wham, and Wham has to be careful here. Oh, villagers moving out onto the wrong side, losing a lot of villagers there on the deer now.
Yeah, it does get a solid pickup. Wham getting a little bit closer to 3DB's Vil count now after 3DB picking up a few more. But a couple of those orange knights picked on off and will need to force 3DB back further away, which is exactly what he's doing. Those Roost Knights, they're getting low.
Getting low indeed, but B is doing a really good job of just splitting his knights into groups that are both equally threatening right now. Could potentially look to just raid at multiple sites at the same time. Doesn't look for it now anymore. Now Wham is ahead in the knight department. He's going to be able to take down that wooden fortress potentially. No fight is going to be happening here. Who's going to be able to surround the other? That's going to be the main question, and B has to pull out.
Yeah, a ton of orange knights on the ground that time. It looks like Wham got the better of him, taking down that wooden fortress, or at least trying to here. Numbers are climbing, militia get called, and the militia, they're going to try to act like some sort of help, but it might be one that Wham just disengages and runs on away.
Gremlins are now coming out, as you said, 16 gremlins out on the field, and that's going to be a fight that Wham won't be wanting to take. So once those gremlins are there, yep, Wham is going to be retreating.
Just turns right around and just runs on away, and it just shows you that's exactly what would happen with these spearmen. They just, yeah, they might do well if they take the fight, but they can't take the fight if they can't get to the fight.
Exactly, but these gremlins, I mean, they're still going to be alive for quite a bit more time, and at some point here, Wham is going to have to defend his base, else the TC is going to get burnt down again. And speaking of burnt TCs, Wham's going to get Vietnam flashbacks, but now the fight is going to be happening. Gremlins are going to take down a lot of damage here. It's just too many knights. B just doesn't have enough knights, and he needs to retreat. All the gremlins are going down.
40 knights for Wham and more in queue. This feels like a team game with the knight numbers. There's no other units. That's all they are utilizing. And French has the advantage. We said this was a slightly Roost favored matchup, but not if you're just going knights and knights and knights. That tilts it back towards the French.
I'm just waiting for somebody to make at least some spearmen here. I mean, like, come on. It's all knights that we're seeing here. I mean, I know knights are a good unit, but please just make some spearmen. Anybody.
Yeah, this is definitely a fun game to watch, as watching knights just charge back and forth is always interesting, seeing these mobile units, seeing these strong units.
I hope these turrets have the castle turret emplacement. And Royal Institute now coming in for Wham as well. Meanwhile, B still lacking on the gold department. I mean, he's heavily on gold, so could potentially get the gold quite quickly. But Royal Institute being built by 37 villagers is Wham. He's emulating the Chinese right now when it comes to build speeds on that landmark. He wants it up now.
Yeah, and I think this is one of those things that he knows if he gets royal bloodlines or even veteran royal knights, it's just game over. And the upgrade comes through right now. That's like 5 knights in the grand scheme of things. Or yeah, maybe a few more if you're thinking about how much total Castle Age resources are. But that's the difference between Wham and 3DB now. And we already mentioned that Wham has the better knights. Veteran upgrade coming through, and Royal Bloodlines just clicks in. It takes a minute and a half. It's a long upgrade to come through, but it's just so powerful.
Yeah, the question is Wham gonna wait until that comes in? Because B is also getting close to the next age now. what's it gonna be? It's gonna be the high trade house. It's coming in exactly the spot where we thought about it earlier.
That's such a beautiful spot. It just gets so many trees inside the radius, but is the timing going to be there? 21 Vills on it. He's taking the fight. 3DB's taking the fight, but the veteran Royal Knights has already come through for Wham and not for 3DB. He needs to run away. He needs to stall this out until he gets his veteran upgrades.
Yeah, he cannot take the fight, but at the same time, he also can't wait because of the Royal Bloodlines coming in, and that's just such a dangerous timing here for him right now. High Trade House is almost completed, but even after that, it's going to be 30 seconds, and after 30 seconds, Royal Bloodlines very likely to be complete for him. He's immediately grabbing Boya's Fortitude as well. That's a lot of gold on that High Trade House. 300 gold for him per minute, and
that's immediately, too. That's the best thing about it. It's not like relics where you're going to have to start grabbing them. That is immediately starting to tick for him, but Wooden Fortress just able to be burnt down so quick. Royal Bloodlines last couple seconds. The gold's starting to be denied, but it gets replenished from the High Trade House. That being said, this fight is going in the way of Wham. He has the numbers. He has the tech advantage. This has been now playing right into his hands.
Yeah, Royal Bloodlines just completed, and these villagers right now here from B, they don't have any way of getting back to his base because of these walls that Wham has put out there on the map, and now it's going to be really hard for B to take any engagement. It's almost 20 more knights for Wham, and they have 80 more HP.
Yeah, and just so much damage. We're starting to see the fight under the Wooden Fortresses, under the TC fire, but it's not gonna matter. Wham should be able to win this fight, but backs away a little bit. Other knights taking down villagers at other parts of the base, and even if this trade just goes slightly not in Wham's favor, he wins out on it because of the other parts in the map.
He is also going up right in front of the base of B here, and with that, cheaper knights are going to be coming in, and once the knights are cheap, it's going to be really easy for Wham to just spam them out, and it also secures him a gold mine, so he is going to have access to safe gold. It's just going to be an infinite flood of knights, and now also Cannon Saddles coming in as well. These knights are just going to be way stronger than the Roost Knights.
Yep. And I feel like that's just what we've continued to say this whole game. Wooden fortresses have started to be burnt down, and now we're starting to see the effect of those wooden fortresses not being very useful against 47 knights that are castle age with all of these upgrades through.
If only some of these stables would have been barracks. I just don't know what to say. Okay, now Militia gets called out again, but Wham almost has twice the number of knights, almost 50 compared to 25 from B. And just way stronger knights as well. Cannon Saddle's about to complete here as well. Militia is coming in. These are automatically upgrade in the castle age, but it doesn't matter against knights this strong.
Yeah, the blue is just flooding around. You can see how many knights there are just circling around the orange knights on the other side, starting to break the line, starting to break through, and after the knights fall, villagers are right behind it as well, and there's not too many knights left from 3DB at this point in time. He's into the single digits now.
Yeah, no more knights remaining. Villagers going down. Whammer had 50 villagers, and surely this has to be GG now. There is no way for B to come back into this. He doesn't have any means of scaling his production anymore. Now knights are raiding on all sides of the economy here from B, getting completely idled right now. Everywhere, villagers just having to run away constantly, but knights are able to keep up and chase them down.
And villagers, it's not just about to be a 50 Vil count lead. It's about to be 70, 80, maybe 90. There's just devastation all across 3DB's base. He's not going to be able to stabilize this. And what an exciting game. What a fun game we have seen with all of these night clashes. But it's not over yet, as 3DB still thinks there's a way for him to hold and get back in it.
Surely B can come back from this Copia. I mean, this is just... no. This can't be. If B comes back from this, I'm gonna eat a broom, because man, this is just absolute destruction, and B knows and he calls it. Game number 2 goes the way of B and goes the way of Wham, and it's gonna mean that we're gonna have a 1-1 so far. I mean, this set really even so far. I mean, the first game was absolutely fantastic. Then the second game, wow, it's so many. Can we take a look at the military graph here?
Yeah.
Can we take a look at the military graph here? Just these night battles being so insane here throughout this game.